Right. Who wants to do the intro this time?
I believe it is your turn.
I believe it is Sean's turn.
But you need to do one.
Nah, I'm the host. I don't do the intro. Great, we're now like an 80s crime drama. Hello and welcome to Films I Should Have Seen, the podcast in which we watch and discuss movies that are either considered popular or high regarded, that we may have missed in the past. My name is Ross, and with me as always is my co-host Sean.
Hello.
And James.
Hello.
This time around we watched Lost in Translation. Came out in 2003, written and directed by Sofia Coppola, daughter of Francis Ford Coppola, who did Godfather, starring Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson, and that's pretty much the entire cast. Right. So I had never seen this before, and you hadn't, had you, Sean?
Nope.
But you had.
I have, yes.
Yeah. So when did you see it?
It came out in 2003. I'm going to assume it was a few years after that, because in 2003 we would have been 10, so I think I saw it when we was about 13, 14.
Okay, wow.
So I was young-ish, but I was right in that window of when you start like properly watching films. You're not just watching it for explosions and pretty, it was like one of the first films I watched where I was like, oh no, this is more than a bog standard film.
I was going to say, so what did a 13, 14-year-old James think of this film?
Like, I really, really liked it, and I still do. I still really like it. It still has a big impact. Like I say, it would have been one of the first, like, not serious, but artsy-esque films that I would have watched, so I think I latched onto it a bit more, but I did remember enjoying it when I was younger, and I still do.
Okay. Full disclosure, because I always forget to mention this, we will be talking full spoilers for the film. So if you haven't seen it and don't want it to be spoiled, don't listen to this.
Ever.
But yeah, because I always forget to say we're talking spoilers. So, Sean, what did you think about it on your first viewing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that great.
You didn't,
to be honest?
Okay.
No. It's not something I'd rush out and tell people to go watch, go see, buy DVD, buy Blu-ray. Unless it's one of those hangover Sunday movies that you just pop on Channel 4.
Right.
And watch for the sake of watching. I thought it just didn't. No.
So I didn't think much to it then?
No.
It is safe to say that, like, not a great deal happens in this film, and that is clearly by design. This is my first time watching it, and I would say, just like with Godfather, I'm underwhelmed by it. I didn't think it was bad, I did enjoy it, but I was expecting a bit more. Like I said, nothing really happens in this movie, because it is so character focused about these two people who just kind of feel out of place and feel a bit lost, as it were.
Yeah. See what you did there?
Yeah. No, I feel like, I if letdown's the right thing. Like I say, I enjoyed it, but yeah, I certainly wouldn't rush to see this again, and there's films I would recommend to people before this.
But as the genre type that film is, I don't know what you would class the genre. Again, it's obviously not an action film. It's a story. There's very much a strong story there that you've got to not necessarily figure out, but it can be interpreted in many different ways. I think it's up there as one of those. I don't know if you would class The Artist as another one, or is that just because it was a foreign film? But to me, the best way I can describe it is, like I said, it's a very artsy film. There's very meanings and plots and things like that you've got to look out for.
Yeah. With the story, because like I say, it's about, you have Bob Harris, which is Bill Murray's character, who, it's pretty much explained to us early on that he is an American movie star, although now he's kind of just not really doing a lot. The reason he's in Japan is to film some adverts for a whiskey.
At $2 million.
At $2 million,
it's not
it's not like
bad.
it's chump change. And then you got Scarlett Johansson's character, Charlotte. I don't think you get a second name. She's there basically because her husband, who is a photographer, is out there. So while he's doing work, she's just kind of milling about a hotel.
Actually, you would have got her surname, wouldn't you? Because when what's the blonde actress?
It's Anna Faris.
Yeah.
But I don't.
When she sort of goes, "Oh my God, it's."
I think
And she
she says
says
John,
his full
doesn't
name.
she? I
Yeah,
thought she just
she
says John.
so and so.
Probably, yeah. But
We probably missed it.
yeah. So she probably says I've said him right there. So it's about those two in this place of, like, you can tell Bob doesn't really want to be there. He's very dissatisfied with his life. Like, he even says at one point that he's there selling whiskey, but he could be doing a play. So he's clearly at a point in his career where he's just unhappy. And then Charlotte, she doesn't really know what she wants to do. She's only young. Which, fun fact of, even though the character of Charlotte is about 22, 23, because she says she just graduated college a year ago. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson was only 17 at the time of filming this. No, just
at the time of filming.
at the time of filming.
Oh right, but at release, she was born in '84. The film came out in '03, which would have made her 19.
Yeah.
But
Well,
maybe
at
at
the time of filming it,
she
she was
might have been
only
younger,
she was
yeah,
only
yeah.
17. So I found that quite interesting. Huge age. I think the thing that kind of let me down I never throughout the film wanted anything to become romantic between Bob and Charlotte.
I don't think it's a matter that you want it to.
No, but it didn't feel right to me that even though that it kind of went that way, because it seemed more like, I just always kind of took it as they were just two, like, kind of lost souls who were just kind of finding kinship in each other. So that when it started to lean more towards the romance kind of thing, it didn't feel right to me.
See, I wouldn't have said it's a matter of lost souls. I think you kind of take it for what it is, which is two polar opposite Americans, both in Tokyo, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, for very different reasons, and yet they find each other because there's comfort, isn't there? If you go to a foreign land,
Yeah, so
you
that's-
find comfort in someone else. For us English speakers, French people, blah 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 blah. But because to me, one of the not stronger scenes, but there's the moment where Anna Faris's character, I can't remember if you get a name. I remember the Velocity Midnight, that's the film she was promoted. Great name for a film.
Which I believe she says she's filming with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, well, I heard Keanu, but I don't know if it was Keanu Reeves.
Well, they said Keanu, and then I'm sure later someone says Keanu Reeves.
So, it's the scene where her, the husband John, Charlotte, they're all sat at a table. It's a bit cringy almost watching all these Americans together, and I think it's because she's obviously supposed to be 20 odd in it. You can clearly tell she doesn't want to be young. She wants to be older, more mature,
Yeah.
and I think that's why she obviously gravitates towards Bob, Bill Murray's character, and that's why he gravitates towards her, because he's bored and he wants something to liven his life up.
It's one of those things that, like, when they're having that conversation later on in the bed and she's asking, does it get any easier? Basically, you see she's struggling in life. She doesn't know what she wants to do, which a lot of people over that age don't know what they want to do, don't know where things are going. So, like you say, yeah, she doesn't really want to be young. You can tell she kind of wants to be older and mature, whereas they even say outright, well, Charlotte says to him outright that she thinks he's having a midlife crisis, which he very much is. Like, he even talks about, like, his marriage was fun when they were younger, before they had kids, when he was doing films, because she'd come visit on set, but now they have the kids, like, she's not, and the marriage is kind of not gone stale, but, like, it's a different dynamic, because the kids are the focus.
It's what it should be, yeah.
Where, he's clearly, he's dissatisfied with that. Like, and you see that throughout, whenever he's got any kind of interaction, whether it's directly with his wife over the phone or if it's anything to do with his family, he's very just kind of blasé about it. He doesn't. So that's why because I think the film goes out of its way to kind of make Japan feel alien, because
which it would,
which it does. Yeah, the whole point is we're meant to be
there.
we're meant to empathise with Bob and Charlotte, and they feel out of place in this country. And I feel like this is a story you could have done in America, but the fact that they've set it in a foreign land and somewhere like Japan, where the traditions and the culture is so radically different to like America or even England, it does that thing to make them feel so alienated, make them feel so out of place, which is why, to me, I would have much preferred it if it was just a kinship between them on like a platonic level, because they found something familiar or something that they can actually enjoy in this foreign land, whereas I never bought the romance. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on
That's your
the dynamic.
I don't think Sean's going to elaborate anymore.
No.
So nothing bugged you about it, nothing grated on you, with you saying you're obviously not keen on it?
No, it was just really slow, and it started off slow and you was like it was going to pick up, and it just never really picked up, and it was just the same tempo right the way through the film, and no.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But a little fun fact in it, when Charlotte is riding the subway, she looks down at a man who is reading a comic called Ghost in the Shell, which obviously Scarlett Johansson would go on to star in the American adaptation of it.
There you go.
Not a good adaptation of it, but you know,
it.
she did. It's a interesting transition there. Also filmed in 27 days.
That's short.
It's an incredibly short, but you kind of get
it.
It's got really like one set, which is a hotel. Occasionally they venture out.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, like I say, I'll always give this film big praise because, like I say, when it came out, when I first saw it, it was that first artsy film that I watched and I got into, and I somewhat understood the meanings of everything that it was going for. But I suppose the big thing that I think it's always had lost in translation is the end bit when he gets out of the car and finds her again.
Yeah.
And he whispers something in her ear, and obviously we're not meant to know. I've always known that's supposed to be a big thing. When the first time I saw it, it did sit on me like, what does he say?
So this is one of the things I looked up immediately when I finished the film, because I was like, what did he say?
Yeah.
And is there an answer? And the answer is no, there isn't an answer.
There isn't an answer.
Director Sofia Coppola maintains that Bill Murray's final line to Scarlett Johansson in Lost in Translation was unscripted, and that no one, including her, knows what Bill Murray said except for Murray and Scarlett Johansson.
Which, if is the case, great. That's obviously a lovely little magical moment we can have in cinema. But you're gonna.
But then there is also a thing here. Yeah, because it says that in the script there was multiple variations of what he says to her. And the final draft of the script says Bob tries to tell Charlotte he loves her, but he can't muster the words. But they planned that Murray would improvise, and also the kiss at the end was improvised. So the kiss wasn't scripted, which, yeah, I don't know. Like I say, it's to me. Maybe if I watched it again, I'd have a different take on it. But to me, I didn't. These are two people who are clearly unhappy in their lives.
Yeah.
Like, we see that Charlotte isn't really happy with her marriage.
Yeah.
Like, she seems so disconnected from her husband. But for them to be both unhappy in their marriages, fine. To me, a romance between the two of them just seems so shallow and fake. It does friendship I can buy. The romance to me comes across as that's those two just acting on impulse. It doesn't seem.
But that's what romance is. Romance is impulse. Love is impulse. Surely.
Yeah, but to me it didn't. It did seem like that just kind of base instinct rather than a genuine like kind of romantic connection. I don't know. Maybe it's clearly it's just the way I've taken it.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm sure there is many people who disagree with me.
It's one of those films where you definitely have your opinion on it. And I don't think you can be changed on it.
Yeah. What do we think of the performances though? Like I said, from Murray and Johansson.
I think you have to, if Scarlett was 17, because that probably will be like a first film she's done at least. I don't know.
No.
Did she do kid acting?
Yeah, she would have been in at least Ghost Town beforehand.
Fair enough. She was great in it. I know in the past people have said it's a bit of a plain performance from her, but I don't think that. But we all know I'm a huge fan of her work regardless. So
yeah, I've always from what I've seen of her, I've always rated Scarlett Johansson as a very kind of fine actress. She's never really blown me away. In this, I thought it was a good performance. I can see if people criticise it as a bit plain, but I feel like that's kind of intentional.
That was the character.
Yeah.
Charlotte's meant to kind of feel a bit
She was supposed to be this
disconnected.
almost prim and proper because, like I say, she was at Yale or Harvard.
Yeah, she
One
went
of
to
them.
Yale.
Yale,
John calls her snobby.
Yeah, but she clearly isn't that. She's very dialed back and very unsure, like you said, of what she's supposed to be doing. She's graduated from Yale in philosophy, was it?
Yeah, in philosophy.
In philosophy, so she's clearly supposed to be very bright, but while she's away, that's all gone. It's lost.
What do you think about Murray, Sean, since obviously you're a big fan of his earlier work?
It was just typical Bill Murray, wasn't it? There was nothing special from Bill. He's very mellow.
I don't know. I'd say this maybe had a bit more weight to what you usually expect from Murray.
But most
Like,
of,
it still had a
most of
very
Bill's
dry-
work that
yeah.
I've seen is comedy, such as Groundhog Day. Where
But it was
more,
very, very different comedy to Groundhog Day, wasn't it?
yeah, it's
very-
more lively in more of the comedies and things that I've seen. But this was more the talk show Bill Murray that you see, the more mellow tone back. I don't know, it's just Bill Murray to me in this.
I'd say his humour in this is very similar to his humour in the first Ghostbusters.
Dry.
Yeah, it is that very, like, kind of dry wit. But I do think his performance I think he sells Guy having a midlife crisis quite believably. Like, he does seem just so fed up. Like, in every scene where he's, like, clearly having issues with, whether it's the director saying something and he doesn't know what he wants from him and stuff like that. Like, he seems like a guy who's, like, kind of just at a point in his life where he just can't be bothered. James, you're holding your hand up.
As to alcoholic drinkers, do you want to buy Santori Towers? Did he sell you on it? No, no.
I'm not a whiskey man, but Ross
I
is,
am a whiskey man,
so-
and it is a whiskey that I've looked at before, but it is not cheap.
Oh dear.
Oh, so it's a real whiskey.
It is a real whiskey because got another fact here. Bob was asked to channel Roger Moore when shooting the Santori commercial, but he said he liked Sean Connery better. In the real world, Sean Connery actually did commercials for Suntory.
Ah, there you go.
So there is a real world connection to it that connects Bond to it as well. Yeah, but Bill Murray does say that this is his favourite film role.
I think it's probably because he could be
Play
himself
Yeah.
so much in it, but
Yeah, and apparently, like, there was no, like, kind of written contract for it as well. So Sofia Coppola didn't know whether he was going to show up because it was just kind of a verbal agreement
Hey,
between them.
Do you want to do this? Sure, why not?
Yeah. But she wrote the role specifically for
For him.
Murray and said that if he didn't agree to it, she wouldn't have done the film. Which, fair. I can see this role being for
Pretty
Murray.
much
It
him.
is very much
There's
kind
no
of
one
Murray
else you
doing
could
it.
put in there.
I think what this film does best is sets the atmosphere. Like I said previously, it makes Japan feel so alien and so, like, kind of foreign for the characters and therefore for the audience. And I think it does a good job of kind of... Usually it's the role of, like, the filmmaker to kind of invest you in that world. I think it is very intentionally done to try and make you feel out of place and disconnected, and I think the film does that well. You do get why those characters feel out of place.
Yeah, you feel connected with them. You feel like if I was in their situation, I'd be like, I don't know what we're doing. What are you trying to tell me to do here? Because I
there is
know
stuff-
they have when he's filming, like, the first bit of the commercial. Not the photo shoot. I know people have translated what the director was actually saying, and he was, like, giving him all these in-depth things of what he wanted to do, and then the woman was just like, just turn and look at the camera.
Yeah.
You know, which kind of is what you would expect to happen. You know, you could ask someone, you know, and they might give you an in-depth, and then someone will just say, oh no, it's just over there.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of stuff that is kind of played up to exaggerate Japan for laughs or to make it feel more bizarre, but it is one of those things of I know people who have visited Japan, and I've actually, because of other films I've studied the culture and stuff like that. So I do know that it is very kind of, it would be quite jarring for someone new there. Like the bit at the beginning when he first arrives at the hotel and he's being introduced to everyone, and it is such a formal greeting for every single person, and they're all handing out business cards and they're all giving presents and stuff like that. Like that is very kind of common, and it is respectful. Like it's not like in America or in Britain where if you were meeting a bunch of like business associates, you'd kind of just do a general hi to all of them, maybe a quick handshake. No, it is very manners and politeness and formality is very big in Japan. So but for someone who that's not familiar to, you kind of get that is a very stressful kind of odd situation for him, and I think they did a good job of kind of portraying that.
Yeah. And he's clearly jet lagged, he just wants to go to bed and he can't sleep. I still really like the film. I really do. It's one of mine, if I have like a list of, not necessarily greatest films of all time, but it would be always in a list for me of, I don't know, impactful ones to me, possibly. It would always be in there.
Yeah. No, I completely get why people would love this film. Like I said, I didn't dislike it, I did enjoy it, but it's kind of underwhelming, which we talked about before. I'm sure a lot of films that we do watch on the show will be, because the point is it's films that have been hyped up after so much time.
Did this got, was it an Academy Award for Best?
Well, yeah, because of this film, Sofia Coppola became the first woman to be Oscar nominated for writing, directing and producing, and she won Best Original Screenplay for it.
So,
and I'm sure I read earlier that this is the only Oscar nomination Bill Murray has had as of 2018.
Yes.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to get off your chest, Sean, before?
No.
Just not your type of film.
No,
which is fine. It's understandable.
Do you have anything you did like about it?
Did you like the karaoke singing? That was great.
No, just
like Scarlett's wig.
Yeah, the lovely pink wig. Yeah. What about her bottom in the opening shot?
The opening shot was very 90s as well, wasn't it?
The opening shot's based on a painting.
That is something I would say is, at times, Japan does feel a little dated.
Yeah.
Do you not think...
I mean, this is from 2003.
but even then, it does still feel like some things are very either late 80s or early 90s. Like
karaoke is incredibly popular.
The jazz bar and all of them smirking, that it just did almost feel very...
Early 90s.
Very early 90s. You get what I'm saying, don't you? It was a darkly lit room with a long black table.
When Lost in Translation pops up when she's laid on the bed, it very Train Spotter feel and...
Like I said, it's 2003, which you think isn't that long ago, but if you look at any film from that era, I would say it is very, very fitting. But I do get where you come from. Japan could seem very dated. Like I said, karaoke is a huge thing in Japan, which seems like such a bizarre concept over here. Like having karaoke bars where you rent a room and just you and your mates go do karaoke. That seems quite odd. But no.
No, but it could quite fun, actually.
We could do that.
We're not going to do a karaoke.
Why not?
Yeah. There is actually one in York, but
is it?
Yeah, it's a Chinese restaurant and karaoke bar.
Road trip.
Search engine. Google.
Yeah. But no, a bit of a shake-up, because since we did like quite a big sci-fi film last episode, and we are doing a big sci-fi film next episode.
No. I don't know. We've just found out, James.
James knows what it is, but clearly has forgotten. We're going to be doing The Predator next episode.
Hey, now. Hey.
So look forward to that, which I've never seen. Sean's never seen, and James has seen and is currently miming the film.
Yeah, that was me nodding a lot.
Okay then. Yeah, that was our thoughts on Lost in Translation, and we will speak to you next time.
Goodbye.
Cheerio.